This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO, and we have Dave King and Dr. Rollo on right now. And Dr. Rollo, how are you today?
I am doing very well. Thank you for having me today, Matt.
Yeah, doing a little social distancing here, making sure that everybody stays safe. So Dr. Rollo, I got a video yesterday, and you were in it. About Coronado High School, I think is where you were at, and some things that y'all have going on with the high schools. Would you like to kind of say, I know that this has to do with trying to help students get their schoolwork done, and especially those that might not have access to high-speed internet. Would you kind of explain what's going on out there?
Absolutely. So, man, the world's a different place than it was when I was on the show a month ago, isn't it?
Yes.
We're in week 2 of remote instruction, and we realized that internet access is an issue for many of our families. So we have several things in place that we are working on to mitigate that. And one of the things we have done is set up, we call them park and learns, and they're in all 4 of our high school parking lots. And it has boosted the Wi-Fi access out into the parking lot so that you can park in your car and do your work there if you do not have dependable internet access at home.
So another thing that y'all have going on is y'all are actually handing out lunches. During the summers, y'all have different schools open so to make sure that students get lunches. But now they're not able to congregate in any place, but you actually hand out lunches. They can go to specific schools, or buses come to specific locations. Can you kind of explain that program and how if a student does not have the ability to have lunch at home or needs a lunch, where they can go to get those?
Yes. So when this happened during spring break and we quickly realized we're not coming back to school right away, our food service partner, Aramark, quickly pulled together and developed a plan where we could serve at 16 different school sites and provide curbside service. And then our transportation partner, Durham, worked with us to develop. We started with 22 bus routes, but we've added 2 additional bus routes. These are normal bus routes that we normally run children to school and pick them up and take them back home. But we're using those routes now to deliver meals out into the community. We have served over 8,000 kids. Definitely for the last week and a half. We started with about 6,000 the first day, but it is well over 8,000 now, almost 9,000 children every day. And we serve them a hot lunch for that day and then breakfast for the next day.
So were you surprised by the amount of students that took advantage of that?
Well, I'm really not. It's available for any children who are 18 and under, so we're getting some of the children who are not quite school age yet who are able to take advantage of this service as well. There's definitely a lot of people who depend on our schools to have breakfast and lunch, and so you don't realize that until something like this happens and they come out to get the food.
I don't know if you have these numbers or anything, but I know that one of the things it's not easy homeschooling kids. The environment's not necessarily the same. It's not really set up or even conducive. You've got parents that sometimes both parents are working. Do you have any numbers on how many students are not doing their schoolwork? In other words, ones that are not sitting down and logging in like they should be?
So there are only, we pulled some numbers together yesterday, and we have not been able to connect with only 4% of our kids. And, of course, that's 4% too many. But we've been able to connect with 96% of our kids. And so
that's pretty impressive.
We feel good about that. We really feel like our families, as hard as it is, and please know families, we know that you have been thrown into duty as teachers while you're trying to do your work too, and we know that that's a challenge, a huge challenge, and please know how much we appreciate everything you're doing to help us continue instruction during this time. But we've got 4% that we need to find, and we have a plan for how to do some well checks to go out and make sure those families are okay.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Rollo, What about when is school going to resume?
That's a great question, Dave, and I wish I could give you a solid, firm answer. Right now, the governor has closed us through May the 4th is the day that we possibly could reopen. However, we also know where we are right now in this pandemic, and so there's a good possibility that could be extended beyond that.
Well, it seems like if it's May 4th, I mean, you are pretty much you only have a couple of weeks or maybe 3 left.
Graduation is scheduled for May 23rd, and so that week before that would be the last week of school if we were to go back May 4th, which I would love for us to be able to do, go back and put a bow on this school year and have some closure for the kids, especially for our seniors. Of the class of 2020, they were born during the 9/11 era, and now they're supposed to be graduating from high school during this. But we just don't know if that's going to be a safe thing for us to do at that time. But we'll follow guidance from the state.
So I was going to ask, have we already canceled graduation ceremonies? I know that Texas Tech had. Have we done that at all at LISD yet?
We have not. We still have the United Supermarket Arena scheduled for May 23rd. Hoping, fingers crossed that will still happen. That being said, we have scheduled the arena for multiple days throughout June, July, and even into early August, so that if we cannot do it on May 23rd, hopefully we can postpone it.
Okay. So, Dr. Rollo, one of the questions that I had, and I was just wondering, is with all of this that's happening, now I will say this: the teachers are doing a fantastic job with things that they a lot of times weren't. I know that y'all did some quick training, but a lot of these teachers are not trained on distance learning and have never done this before. So they are doing a good job as far as that's concerned. But are we worried about next year kids falling behind and where y'all will have to start when the new year starts next year?
Well, we absolutely are looking at 3 different phases of this. And, of course, right now we're in phase 1, which is standing up remote learning that's happening right now. During spring break, our central office team pulled together. So we did not have spring break, but we pulled together and developed some training modules for teachers, some resources, some templates, and then the following week when we extended spring break for students, that was an intense week of training and turnaround for our teachers and principals. They basically transformed the way they operate in less than a week's time. So we're extremely grateful to them. Some of them, of course, were more skilled at that than others, but it definitely was a learning curve for everyone. The first week, we think, has been really we learned some things last week. We polled parents and have a survey that we're gathering data on how we can improve. But I do believe one of the things, a silver lining that has come out of this is a lot of innovation and creativity on the part of our staff. So I truly appreciate their hard work on this.
Yeah, I know that there was a learning curve for our kids. The first day, it took until about we started them at 8:00 in the morning. It took about until 5:30 in the evening, maybe even close to 6 for one of our kids. And we're like, oh my goodness, is this going to be every single day? But every day it kind of got down, and now it's almost about school time. They start at 8:00 in the morning, and we definitely have to take some breaks because kids that age do not. I mean, our kids are 7 years old, so they don't really sit down and at a and you gave them Chromebooks as well, but they don't have an easy time just sitting at a Chromebook for 8 hours. So
nor should they.
Right.
That's not what we do in regular school.
Exactly.
Either.
You have breaks. and so but it has become about the time period of a normal school day. So but I just want to say that there is a lot for them to do. It's not like they're not doing anything, So
well, we do want families to find that balance of getting schoolwork done, but also having time to interact as a family and go outside, take a walk, take a break. really the social emotional part of all of this is extremely important too. And we've stood up a lot of resources for families on our webpage with suggested schedules, some games you can play, some tips for parents if they're having a hard time getting their child to interact with the learning, ways to make it more fun. And then our teachers are trying to embed a lot of fun into what they're doing as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dr. Rollo, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We've got Dr. Rollo and Dave King. We'll be right back after these messages. This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. We're going back directly to the phones to talk to Dr. Rollo. Dr. Rollo, what's exactly? I'm looking at what's going on in the country. Is there a lot of worries about? And I know this is probably something that y'all have got so many other worries might not be an issue right now, but are there worries about funding for the next 2 years?
Well, of course, with the economy taking a hit with this, of course there are, but we do know that public schools are appropriated, and so we feel strongly that we'll be able to keep funneling money into public schools because we know we have to continue educating our children. And we also know that this is not just a phase one, standing up what we need to do right now, but phase two, what do we need to do this summer to help fill gaps? And then phase three is looking at going into next school year.
Okay. So what, and that was one of my questions, what does going into the next school year look like right now? I know that it's probably in the early stages of talking about it, but...
yeah, it's in the way early stages of talking about it because we're not sure how long this will be going on.
Okay. So I don't guess there's any lights at the end of the tunnel at this point. I mean, I guess my point is you don't see where this is going to end yet.
I don't know that we have a clarity around that, but we do know and are having internal conversations about what we're going to need to do to fill in gaps that happen during this time. But we do know we'll come out of this with some better understanding about remote learning and distant learning and how we can help use that in the future so that our traditional school may look a little different.
Well, Dr. Rollo, one thing that is so frustrating about this virus for everyone is the unknown. There's just so much that's unknown about it. I'm sure it's very hard for you to make plans for even next week, is it not? Much less next school year.
Yeah, we really feel good about being able to continue on and get better and better at this remote instruction. Of course, I'm worried to death, and the ones that keep me up at night are the 4% that we haven't been able to connect with, but we have a plan in reaching out to them. But there are unknowns, but we do know we will get through this and be stronger and wiser and more experienced on the other side.
So do you see now, I know that there's a shortage of teachers in certain areas. Does this remote learning, something that apparently is all over the nation right now, at least in the state of Texas, does this open doors to potentially having classrooms that are set up with remote learning?
It absolutely does. I do think that we will learn some lessons from this, catch lightning in a bottle, so to speak, and figure out how we can reach kids in different ways.
Yeah. So have there been any technical issues that have had to be worked out?
I think the biggest one is students not having access to the internet, and so we've set up the Park and Learn sites, and then we also have some jetpack. We call them lesson learn links that we're deploying out to. We have some staff without internet access, so we've got a plan for deploying those out to families and staff members who are having a hard time accessing the internet.
So some of this rural areas, or is this in Lubbock?
No, it's within our own city limits.
Okay. Do you know whether people have been taking Suddenlink up on their offer for free internet for if you have kids under a certain age in your house?
So I know a lot of families have used that. There were some stipulations, such as if they had an unpaid bill or things like that, then they didn't qualify. So the barriers that poverty creates have caused some issues with that.
Right.
But we appreciate Suddenlink for being willing to work. with our families.
Okay, and we got about 20 seconds. Is there anything else that you want to make sure to say?
Just that we are also very, very proud that we have been able to stand up Ramirez and Miller Elementary as child care centers for UMC, Covenant, and Texas Tech Health Sciences Center, their children, so that
We're
they
going
can
to get cut off. Sorry.
serve.
This is News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. And we want to apologize. We decided to keep Dr. Rollo over for another segment. She was right in the middle of a sentence, and we cut her off. Dr. Rollo, you were talking about child care for healthcare workers, I believe.
Yes. So when we were canceling school or closing school, we quickly realized that our healthcare hospitals, UMC and Covenant, our two largest hospitals, were struggling trying to figure out how to take care of their employees and allow them to be able to continue coming to work when they have school-age children that don't have a place to go. And, of course, we're set up to help with that. So we set up at both Miller and Ramirez child care centers. We have about 80 kids total, ages 4 through 14, that we are serving. We have students we have volunteers from both of those hospitals who are working, as well as some of our own teaching assistants who are working. And we're using social distancing practices, but we're giving our healthcare workers peace of mind so that they can go do the work that we know they need to do right now, and know that their kids are being well taken care of as well.
Okay. And so I just a question that I had, I don't know, are y'all just following, I'm assuming, the direction of the governor as far as the dates of when y'all are open, closed, and what's going on with the schools?
As of right now, that is our plan, to follow the guidance of the governor. And hopefully he'll make decisions in a timely manner. But we'll also do what we know is best for our community. If we decide we need to extend past May 4th, we'll certainly discuss that. But hopefully the governor will make that call for us.
Okay, and are there any issues as far as teacher? I know that one of the worries, if they were closing down schools, I mean, y'all didn't close down anything. So, but are there people that have now lost their jobs in any way because of this?
No, absolutely not. All of our employees, we are continuing to pay. They are continuing to have duties as assigned. It just looks like a different duty than it used to be.
Okay.
But there's no teachers or any employees at schools, is there?
We have essential personnel who are going and taking care of certain things, but for the most part, everyone is remote. Everyone is working from home. And when I say essential, we still have maintenance and custodial on our campuses, and they are practicing safety protocols in what they're doing. We have mail pickup. Just very, very basic, essential things that we have to take care of to keep instructional continuity going. But
so it's
very,
like summertime or something, right?
It's even more stringent than summertime.
Okay. All right. And is there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
Just that we have paper lesson packets for pre-K through first grade students.
I got that video, too.
Those will be delivered at the meal sites and bus routes. Today, we're going to do that on Tuesday of each week.
Okay. So one thing I did want to ask is when all this is said and done, if we're not able to, and I'm sure that this may or may not be something y'all have a contingency for, but how are y'all going to get the Chromebooks back?
You know, our kids, we don't always trust them as much as we should. And I do believe they're going to bring the Chromebooks back. And
no, I don't mean like stealing them, but I just mean like, the semester's over, and you never, if you never go back to school, how are they going to get back to the schools, I guess?
Well,
just drive by and turn them in,
bring them
or
back
something?
in the fall. Yeah,
oh, okay.
We'll have a plan for that. A third of them were already scheduled to be replaced, so we had a plan already in place for replacing a third of those with newer ones. So
do y'all, and this is something just off the top of my head, but where do y'all get those Chromebooks? I mean, I know Chromebooks aren't horribly expensive, but they're not cheap either. Do y'all get a really good deal on those? And does somebody give those to the school? How does that work?
So that was part of our tax ratification election that we did several years ago, where we generate additional revenue, about $5 million annually, and that $5 million goes toward nothing but replacing technology. And I think, if anything, this has also shown us that we can put one-on-one devices in the hands of our kids, and they're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
So that Chromebook, we really could just consider that Chromebook to be the school district's property, but in the hands of that child.
Oh, yeah, and we, I mean, our kids get to leave it on a desk. if they start walking around with it, we're like,
They're pretty tough.
Well, they like to.
Tough devices.
I will say that they do. If they're reading or something, they do like to take it to the couch and kind of sit at the couch and read it. But for the most part, we try to make sure they keep it on the desk because we're like, we don't want you to tear up that Chromebook. So.
Now, we do. If parents, please go to our website. There's a ton of information on there about if you're having trouble with your Chromebook, how you can get service. If you're having trouble with internet access, and how we can get some help to you. So please check out our website.
And just a reminder, as we're running out of time once again, I think you said all the high schools, but I know that you were at Coronado. They're all having boosted internet to the parking lots, and you can now go and park and do homework that you need to use an internet for if you're a student out at those parking lots.
All 4 high schools, and then we'll have 6 more sites coming up by the end of this week.
Okay,
across the city.
And then also, once again, we've got sack lunch, or I don't guess it's sack lunch. You said it's a hot lunch, but you've got lunches that students can pick up if they need a lunch. And you said it's for everybody 18 and under?
Yes, anybody 18 or under. And if you'll go to our website.
How do you call and get on the list?
You don't have to get on the list.
You just pick
show
it up.
You just pick it up. And if you go to our website, you can see the 16 meal sites as well as the bus routes that are available.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's
well, we have a bus route here in our neighborhood. In a couple of days, I saw the bus sitting there with the lights going, and I could not understand what they were doing. and then we finally saw these kids go up to the bus, and we kind of figured it out.
We will not be doing food service on Friday of this week for Good Friday, but we'll have double meals given out on Thursday.
Well, and then on top of that, just a reminder, there's no school on Friday, so my kids are already excited about that, even though they're at home. Man, they're like, we get a free day on Friday? Like,
yes.
And we told them as long as you stay up to date on what you have right now, if not, you'll be making it all up on Friday.
Well, we hope everybody enjoys the long weekend.
All right. Well, Dr. Rollo, thank you for coming on. I know that this is a crazy time for you and the school district, but thanks for coming on and explaining everything to us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. Thanks, Matt and Dave.